Now, I don't wish to take anything away from any of you. I do not wish from anything from your church and synagogue. If you think that I do, then you've misheard me, and again, I blame me for that. But I want to make sure that you understand. At the end of that ceremony, somewhere in the state of New York, someone says, by the powers vested in me by the state of New York. And it's not easy living without that piece of paper. It is not easy. Because the truth is, my partner got hit by a train tomorrow. The co-op that we live in, my co-op board could throw me out because we're not legally married. The truth is that the attempt in other states to do this, Vermont and New Jersey, proved a failure because in those most tenuous moments of our lives, the systems are not set up to do those things. About a decade ago, my partner had very serious back surgery. And when he got out of surgery, the doctor was supposed to call me. You know what? The doctor didn't call me. And I can tell you this, that I know with all certitude that there is no way, if he was my husband or wife, that would have happened to me. And maybe you don't really know what that feels like when you're afraid to call the doctor, because afraid for what he might tell you. But the truth is, that's what we live with every single day. Equality is not easy. You have to accept people you don't like. You have to accept people that maybe you've been taught to hate. The fabulous song from South Pacific, You've Got to Be Carefully Taught, about how we teach our children to hate what we don't know. That it was written in the 1950s is amazing to me, because it is such a truthful statement about what happens in our society. So in the end, this is a profoundly important issue to me, and it's a profoundly difficult one for me to accept your inability to accept me. So let me make it really clear. I don't think that if you vote no, you're a bigot, and I don't think that if you vote no, that you're a homophobe. I don't think that. But I also know, having been here for 7 years, that this building contains some bigots and some homophobes. If you can't figure out that I'm just trying to get a piece of paper, then you're going to have to tell me how I can explain that to you. Because what has happened in these last 2 years is truly remarkable. The polling across this state wants this. In places on Long Island where I grew up, 70% of some of your assembly districts are in favor of my right to be treated equally. And the truth is that the train has left the station because no religion has closed since the time that people could get married in Massachusetts. That's not what happened. And so why are we here? Some days I sort of wish I wasn't, and some days I wish I didn't have to tell these stories. I really do. We went to the Court of Appeals. John and I were among the plaintiffs at the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals was very succinct and clear. To make this change, you must convince the legislature to do that. So that is what we're trying to do. And so you need to understand that it's hard for me to understand that you don't get that this is about equality. And for those of you, like Mr. Powell, who doesn't want the license, that's okay. It's okay to not want it, but it's really not okay to say the other people who do want it aren't allowed to have it. And so, for 30 years of my life, I have known John Banta. For 28 years, we have been in a couple, two halves of a whole. And the only way I know to make sure that he is protected if something happens to me, or I am protected, if something happens to him, is for my state to give me a piece of paper. I really hope that you can find it in your heart to let me have that piece of paper. And the promise I made to you earlier, which is if you have evidence that some way our government treats you less equally than me, I will be as tenacious on behalf of your inequality as I am on all other forms of inequality that we've experienced. And so I thank the Speaker, I thank you for your tolerance, and I implore you, please don't deprive me of something that you have and I want so desperately. Thank you.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
The clerk will record the vote. Mr. Bradley to explain his vote. Ms. Glick in the affirmative. Are there any other votes? The clerk will announce the results.
Ayes 89, noes 52.
Mr. O'Donnell, your bill has passed the House.
Ms. Speaker,